Today's video is sponsored by Right on Trek, and they are a multi-day backpacking planning company. Some things to consider is that they are completely free and they're committed to keeping it that way. Their overall goal is just to make multi-day backpacking trips fun, easy to plan, and safe. They're also really responsive and open to feedback, ideas, and suggestions that you have. They'd love to hear from hikers about what additional trails they should be offering, as well as what they're currently offering. So their link is in the video description. It's also right here on the screen and in the pinned comment below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys went ahead and checked that out. So backpacking gear that I've changed my mind on and I've come back to after originally thinking, I'll never use this stuff. And so the first one on the list has to be for me, because winter is coming, Aquamira drops. And those of you guys who follow me pretty closely know I started carrying these especially a lot more in the winter time to have a backup water purification system. The reason is, if you remember that Laurel Highlands trip that has been almost a year ago now that I went on with Frozen, Gary, and Meerkat, one of those things that happened to me is my filter froze and I slept with it consistently, tried to keep it warm. It's just having it on the outside pocket of my jacket and it froze there. I could definitely could tell, because before there was water shaking around in it, and after that hike in the morning, it was not. And so I actually changed my mind and I started bringing these water purification drops. The annoying thing about them is at the time that they take, but after a while you get used to it and you kind of have, you pre-mix it a lot of times and then you add it to the water source that you get and let it sit. Cold water, it takes a little longer for it to purify, but after that you're good. I haven't had an issue with Aquamira after going back to it. The reason I didn't kind of get on board with it in the first place, I just didn't want to have anything in my water tasting different, and I honestly haven't noticed a major change. And another big thing that I noticed as well is that one of the big reasons I didn't jump on board right away is the time factor for Aquamira drops, as well as the potential taste factor. Not only does it taste different because you're adding chemicals to your water, it's not terrible. But the big thing for me too is that you weren't filtering out any particulates. So you have to make sure you get a fairly good source that you don't have to pre-filter with a buff or something like a piece of fabric of some kind. So, but I've changed my mind and you start to see this more on hikes and trips, or you have been. Whew. These are nasty right now. But Gaiters. And so those of you guys who know, in the wintertime I use these Outdoor Research crocodile gaiters, and they work fantastic in the snow, and you can see in the mud and muck, keeping your pants dry. You're making sure that I pair these with a Gore-Tex boot, the Salomon X Ultras, and it does a fantastic job in the winter time. And so I actually started off being pretty skeptical about gaiters in general, because I know a lot of people who use the what I call more summer 3-season gaiters. For example, the Dirty Girl gaiters are pretty popular. And I never really saw the need until I started hiking occasionally. I don't do it very often in shorts. Even in the dead of summer, I usually use a lightweight pant just because I like having coverage on my legs in case of ticks. And it still keeps me fairly cool. But people who usually use the Dirty Girl gaiters, I've seen typically will have shorts on. And I think I tried it once or twice, and I can see why gaiters are such a necessity for people who hike in shorts. It's just because you can get so much stuff in your shoes without the pants leg covering a lower cut shoe. But gaiters in general, you probably won't see it on 3-season, but it's been fantastic last winter when I started using it in the snow, and it works really well. Actually, with these, one of the things I have to consider is that I don't sweat under them, because these are Gore-Tex, and sometimes I actually will feel my legs starting to sweat. That's another area I have to worry about when I'm winter hiking. Water flavor enhancers. For example, the Mio drops that you see a lot of backpackers use. I started off thinking to myself, I don't really need that. It's not something where I've come across a water source that tastes that bad, until I believe it was in Michigan, where we had this water source that was next to a beaver dam, and it was the only water source for a little ways, and so I was forced to use it, and it just was gross. It was a disgusting experience. And those of you guys who have been out in some areas and got some gnarly water sources know exactly what I mean. The Mio drops are light, and they they make a world of difference in changing the taste. Especially if you have, I talked about the Aquamira drops earlier, adding a little bit of taste. If you carry a Mio drop or some kind of enhancer, flavor enhancer like that, it really does help make the water more palatable for you. And it's something it's cheap and pretty easy to carry. One thing I will say is to watch out for what I was trying for a while is natural flavor enhancers. They just don't work as well as the Mio drops or those other sports drops. So try it before you get in the trail to make sure it does work well and you don't need a whole lot of it. The natural flavor enhancers I've tried, I've had to use a lot more of it than the Mio drops. So I guess that's the good thing about food chemical engineering. I don't know. Camp shoes. I know exactly what you're thinking. I've gone back and forth on using Crocs or using some kind of camp shoe. The reason is it's not necessarily for water crossings. And I know a lot of people automatically think that, but it's for camp for me. And so these Shama sandals, and these were sent to me, but this is months ago, by the way. That shows you how long sometimes I take to review an article of clothing or an item. I just don't go and review it right away all the time. The Shama sandals, these were sent to me by the company, like I said, a couple months ago, and they have really been a game changer because I chose the lightest possible option. And that's the thing I would consider is if your pack is dialed into the point where you can bring camp shoes, then go ahead, bring camp shoes. Because it makes things a lot more convenient around camp. When I was setting up, and especially if you had a muddy hike into wherever camp is, it's nice to be able to put on camp shoes and just kind of lounge around. Shama says that you can hike in these and run in these. I would not hike or run in these. I would use them specifically for camp tasks and chores around camp, especially if it's raining or wet. These are fantastic. You don't have to worry about, you let your shoes dry by the fire, or you do whatever it is you're doing the shoes, let them air out, take the soles out, and for just a couple ounces, it's nice to have a pair of camp shoes. So you may see these on some trips, especially the ones that are a little bit more relaxed and not as high miles. You probably will see these sandals. Last but not least is backpacking chairs. That doesn't mean that I'm going to bring a backpacking chair with me on every trip, and actually right now I don't own a backpacking chair, but I've sat in enough of them, contemplated the weight savings, that most of the times I still will bring my Z-Rest, my Thermarest Z sit pad. To me that's enough. But there have been times where I've used or borrowed someone's backpacking chair who brought it, who offered it to me, and I've thought to myself, I can see why. And so I know the Shield brothers are probably rejoicing right now, and a couple other YouTubers who were kind of touting the benefits of backpacking chairs. The likelihood of seeing it on most of my trips is pretty small, but you guys have changed my mind on them, and I think I can see a place for them in lots of people's packs. And so I just want to let you guys know I've changed my mind. So what have you changed your mind on? Are you so like dialed in that you have everything and you never change your mind on anything at all? Your pack is set and it's never ever going to change unless we have this giant leap in technology. What have you changed your mind on? Let me know down in the comments. You know, guys know I'll be reading, watching, and I'll be trying my best to comment and respond back to you. I know with the Christmas season, commenting back has been difficult for me, but I'll definitely do that for this video. Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Peace.